Folks, back on the Bossman show, in front of the show, Coach of the Furman out of SoCon, 10-5 on the year. Coach Bob, Richey, how you doing, brother? Good to talk to you again.
Doing good, boss man. Appreciate you having me on. Always a pleasure to do the annual interview.
Yes, indeed. Well, Coach, tell us about this, man. We talked about it off the air, but how was this COVID year for you and your staff from March on through the spring and summer, man? Because I know for me, I was getting ready to cover the tournament when they came to the Final Four in Atlanta coming, but then COVID happened, they got canceled. So, how's it for you and your staff telling guys goodbye for the last time and moving from on campus to virtual and being at home? So, how's that for you and your staff, man?
Yeah, it's been quite a year, and it's one of those deals for us. To be honest with you, leadership's never been more important. You know what I mean, and just understanding that we've got to make sure that we navigate this appropriately, and that there's a lot of moving parts to it. But safety's got to be the number one objective for sure. Responsibility in our protocols has got to be up there, but then also I think there's got to be from the leadership of the organization, there's also got to be some hope that that we can navigate this, and that we can get through this. And I think that's been the hard part. And a lot of this is it is heavy. I don't think anybody's going to deny that, but we still have a responsibility to lead as best we can through it. And so I've just tried to be my best, and I haven't been perfect, but we've got some guys that need us, and they need a lot more than our directives on a basketball court right now. They need us in different areas of their life to be able to navigate some of this. And, that's my responsibility to them, that I can make sure that I'm upbeat, and that I'm showing them a way, and that I'm helping them navigate through this.
Coach, I feel you on that because I have six insurance coach, and I kind of have to be in their leader, their mentor, their father figure, their point person for everything to do with COVID, life, and everything in general. And for me, coach, I become a better leader this year because of the COVID. Because having to look at things away from just hey, do this, do that, I have to be more available, more give them that shoulder, more listen to them more because they're 18, 24 years old. I'm 33, so I got some age on my insurance, but they're looking to me as the point man to help them navigate COVID, the racial stuff, the election stuff, and all that uncertainty is now I'm the one have to be responsible for these kids here who their parents sent to me to be my insurance. So, coach, I feel you having to be of leadership and look at yourself in different ways. Kind of make sure you take the right steps to lead them in the right direction every day, all day.
Yeah, I think it's critical. I think we all can acknowledge how hard it is and how heavy it is. But that doesn't mean we have to that it has to defeat us, right? That doesn't mean that it has to overtake us and overwhelm us to a point that we can't, can't as a country, as groups of people, as teams, try to navigate it and get better as we go through it, and try to do it as safe as we can, and as responsible as we can. But it's a hard year. It's unique in a lot of different ways. It takes us two shows probably to go through everything that we've had to adjust
Oh,
and
yeah.
what we've had to do. But it's hopefully as the vaccine starts to get dispersed, that there's some light at the end of the tunnel, as we get through the winter and into the spring. But yeah, this has been unique, man. I feel like there's a couple things going on from a leadership standpoint. One, it seems like everything's a trigger right now, in terms of, people are just getting angrier quicker about different things, and people are just kind of, they're getting down quicker, and so I think that you got to help build people up, and we also got to find ways to connect and work towards the middle on some things, and help people understand that, like, there is hope, there is a way, there is ways to unite, there are ways to love, there are ways to stay safe, there are, what I mean, and
Oh, yeah.
just continue to work through some of that, so that we can continue to have hope, and and that's what we've had to spend a lot of our time on with our players and our program.
And coach, talk about those Zoom calls. You have players from Atlanta, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, all over the place. How are those calls can learn about your players from their backgrounds even more than you already knew? Because for me, coach, personally, learning about my insurance backgrounds this summer on Zoom calls really helped me out a lot. How was it hearing your guys' perspectives and their background on stuff that you might not have been privy to when you recruited them to bring them to Furman?
Yeah, so the Zoom deal was definitely unique, and one of the things that we try to do as a program is we want to have a connected program, and our culture and our retention has always been a big deal here. And, and just trying to to have as much connection to our program as possible. And, that was one of my fears when it went all to Zoom is how are we going to be able to do what we do in the off season well to glue this team together. And so, what we started doing was we had these Zooms and we basically just, it was like it was our theme was a little bit of how do we stay connected in the distance. And, so we had 2 Zooms a week. One was our players decided to go through a book together that they kind of led called Legacy. And they went through that. And then the other Zoom call, we bring in a speaker. And, we had Jay Billis, we had Kevin Eastman, we had Phil Beckner. I mean, we had a lot of great speakers that just poured into our team and opened up a lot of different dialogue and a lot of different conversations. And, so it was a different avenue, but, nonetheless, we got to know each other and, we weren't able to see each other face to face. I think that was something that you really got to experience is like the psychology and the, just the feel of being face to face with somebody, right? Like the absence of that, going through this screen, like not being in the presence of somebody. I thought that was interesting how you really, that started kind of, you could sense that a little bit as time went on. But, we just had to push through as best we could.
Yeah.
And, our players were great with it. I felt like we grew in some ways and, definitely made us more thankful for when we got to get back together late July.
Coach, talk about how your coaches, your sister coaches help you out a lot with your players academically. Going from that in class to virtual coach, I would have been terrible at that. So I know your sister coaches probably have a few players they look after and your academic advisor. Talk about how the University of Furman and your staff and academic advisor staff help your players get through that virtual transition and keep their grades up through that spring semester throughout the summer as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was something for us as a staff. I mean, we had to meet almost every day, just to make sure we weren't letting everything fall through the cracks. But our position coaches all have, our assistants all have a position group. So, they were monitoring their position players, and then we also have our team split up in academic coaches as well. So, mainly just making sure, and our strength coach did a phenomenal job sending them different workouts. They sent them all a package of jump ropes and bells and all this stuff, that they were able to do some in-home workouts. And so it was, academically, it was physically, it was, all that stuff. But then there was also something where once a week we tried to do an emotional check-in, just how are you doing? And how's the family doing? And, at first it was everybody, it was kind of like everybody was all right. And then as you start going through it, guys start opening up a little bit more, coach, this is really hard. And, we started trying to unpack all that, but yeah, it was just constant. It was constant of just how are they doing in all their areas while we can't see them, and there was definitely some challenge behind that. But our guys, we had the highest career grade point average at Furman for a basketball team in since they've been tracking it this past semester, and then in the fall, and then before that, the spring, that was the highest, and so. I'm really proud of our guys that they've made some strides academically. And, through this, we've been able to actually improve our team GPA, which has been a nice little positive.
And when you brought them back in July, Coach, how was that ramp up for you and your staff? Because young men want to get back out on the court. They've been caged up pretty much when they get on the court and go hard. So how are they trying to make a practice plan so they wouldn't do too much too soon and hurt themselves when they're still hurting now come December, January, and February now? So how'd you avoid that by keeping them kind of, give them a tempered ramp up there?
Yeah, so we were pretty slow just because I knew they hadn't done a lot since March. So we focused a lot on the individual at first and did a ton of skill. And, we'd have 3 or 4 guys at a time with 3 or 4 coaches out there and just a lot of hands-on one-on-one. And then we built it up, to some, then we did some smaller group stuff. So we had like 6 or 7 in a group and started to do some, principal work and some, concept work. And then after about a month of that, we started to do a little bit of 5-on-5. And, but we really wanted to make sure our pieces were right and, and kind of go from there. So it was a lot of skill, a lot of shots, a lot of one-on-one. And then again, smaller groups in terms of, principles and concepts. And then we probably got once we got to September is when we started doing, more 5-on-5.
And our coach, I kind of realized through November and December that I noticed the games are getting more competitive now because in the early days, kind of just playing, just want to play hard, keeping it simple. So for you, how's it been getting more practice, being on the court more, putting some more stuff in, and helping you guys get more complex? Because I know in conference play, you gotta be guys who know you. So how's it been for you guys going from that ramp up in November, December to now, where you got more stuff in, and the games are getting more intense as you guys go?
Yeah, I mean, I think as we've gotten into this in terms of the basketball piece, I haven't seen there had been a lot different than previous years. I think what is different is everything before and after that time on the basketball court, is if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
And so you got your testing, and you got how you got to travel, and you got where you got to meet, and you got all this stuff. I think once we get out to the court, it's relatively similar. I think that the disruptions though are interesting. I mean, that's been, navigating that has been interesting, and finding out one team can't play, you think you're going to play the next day, you don't, and so now you got to practice, and kids would rather play right now than practice. I think that's one thing I will say is these kids are tired of practicing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's to the point where they want to play and they want to compete, and they're getting opportunities taken off of that. And so what that equates to for us coaches is more practice time, and that's about the last thing these kids want right now. So
Oh yeah.
I think that's something I've seen, that's interesting. Different, quarantine situations, a guy out, a guy here, a guy there. That's all unique, but it's just, man, it's at the end of the day, you got to go play the game. And, you gotta, I think the biggest thing for coaches right now is, yes, it's hard, and we're having to navigate some things that we haven't had to navigate before, but, habits are still habits, and, habits die hard. And if you get too loose in your approach through the flexibility as you navigate this, and all of a sudden, some of your habits start dying out because you neglected a little bit, then that can pop up in games. And it's one of those things where you got to try to stay as sharp as you can, and you got to be ready to play. But then you also got to balance this to make sure these kids are having fun while they do it. I'll be honest with you. That's been, by now, usually we're in a pretty good routine. It's kind of like, what you're doing today, what you're doing tomorrow, what you're playing in a month. Like, I mean, we're playing somebody different Saturday than we were supposed to, so like, we were supposed to play home Chattanooga Saturday. Now we're going to Western Saturday. You know what I mean? So it's like, and it's Tuesday. It's Wednesday. I don't even know the days. You know what I mean?
So it's just
together. I mean, it's just, this thing is just kind of ever evolving. So, you got to stay on your toes. You got to stay ready. And, I think that's been critical as we move forward.
And what's good about it for you guys is that knowing this SoCon is such a tough league, and the main thing is getting that automatic bid, so that's gonna keep your guys focused as well, because you're right in the thick of it right now. I know you lost two in a row, unfortunately, but guess what? You're still right in the mix, because the main thing is when you go to that tournament in Asheville, there, you get the job done there.
Yeah, at this level, that's the only thing that matters. And heck, we had our best SoCon year ever last year in the regular season. First time the program's ever won 15 games in the league. And we went out in the quarterfinals, you know what I mean? And so it's about improving. And, that's for us, it's a funny game. That orange thing needs to go in that orange circle. And when it does, we all have a lot more fun. And, we've hit a little bit of a cold spell shooting these last two games. And, I think we were 25% from three last game, and, 29% the game before. And, we're getting good looks, but again, you got to be able to knock those shots down. And so I know we'll be fine. Our guys will bounce back. We'll get better. And, usually the game of basketball is a law of averages, right?
Oh, yes.
So, it's, we're due a couple good shooting games here coming up. And I think that we got to continue, like I said, in our habits defensively, continue to clean up a few things. And we haven't been a finished work all year. And so I still think our best ball's ahead of us, and we're going to continue to work to get to that.
How's recruiting via Zoom? I know you're a guy that see people in the home face to face. How's recruiting been via Zoom been for your 21 class and your class next year as well, into 2022 as well? How's that been for you?
Awful. I don't like it. I think it's there's just a non-connective opponent component to it that I'm not crazy about. And we just signed a heck of a class, which sounds funny that I'd say Zoom's terrible. And on paper, this is probably the best class we've ever had around here, since I've been here. And so I think what's funny is in the middle of all this, I told our staff, I said, I'm done with these Zooms. Like I'm going back to the phone, and I'm going back to FaceTime, and I'm just going to recruit like I've always done it. And I started having better conversations, like looking at people on the screen and the computer, and you got all these people on there, and everybody's kind of routine in their answers, and then you got these slide presentations. And I just said, look, forget all that. Like, I got to get to know this kid. I got to get to know his mom and dad. And so I just started picking up the phone, and I just started, hey, I know everybody else is Zooming you. I'm gonna call you, and we're gonna talk, and conversations start flowing better. And so, like I said, we got two players from Ohio that are both in the top 10 in the state on most of the player rankings that you see. We got a 6'10" kid out of Florida that's going to be really good here. And then I think we got one of the best players in Tennessee in JP Pegues, just a really dynamic guard. And so we signed a great class, and, but I still, and part of the reason we signed a great class was because a lot of those guys came to campus before all this happened. And so, worried a little bit about the 22 class, just because our campus is one of the best campuses in the country. Greenville's growing faster than a field weed. I mean, it's just unbelievable how fast the city's growing and all the things that are going on here. And, our players are so special in a lot of different ways. We need to get people here. That's
Yes.
a big part of our draw. We got to get people here. And, so hopefully, by the summer that starts to be able to happen again. And we can show people, how unique this place is, and, how special Furman is, and how special Greenville is, and just how different it is, and get off these dang computer screens.
And Coach, you're in a great location. You can recruit Georgia, get guys from Atlanta and beyond, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, even Florida, even Maryland, Virginia. You're in a great spot to bring in. You draw a circle around Furman. You got a bunch of talent within a 500-mile radius of you right there and there for you to just go pick from, which is great about where you're at.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's why we focus on about 18 states. We can draw from a pretty large net. And, we get in the Midwest a little bit as well. And, just because of the academic pool, and, a lot of these kids, especially Ohio, they all grew up going to Myrtle Beach, so like they all think South Carolina, it's hot and warm down here. So we've done some stuff in Illinois. We've recruited Indiana, Ohio, and, we've knocked on the door in the Midwest a decent amount. But at the same time, we want to make sure we're good in our breadbasket. South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, Virginia. Those are kind of the main staple states. Getting into Kentucky some. Those we try to spread our wings pretty good. And our staff is on it right now. We're recruiting. I mean, they're doing a tremendous job, and really like where we're heading from a recruiting standpoint.
That's one for you, Coach. What was your quarantine hobby? Mine was playing the guitar this summer. Learning how to do that pretty good. What's been your quarantine hobby, man?
Man, I'm kind of basic. I'll be honest with you. I just the same stuff. I love to read. That's the one thing that slows me down. Just to sit down and read a book. I've probably read as many books this year as I've read, my entire coaching career, just because I've had a little bit more, time. So that's probably mine. Just finding a good book and slowing down a little bit. I probably needed to pick up another one, to be honest with you. But just my family's really special to me. My wife is the best, and my kids are getting at that age, 10 and 8. My daughter Audrey and my son Mac, where they've got different activities, and so really, to be honest with you, spending time with them, being home a little bit more, that was really special for me. And through the madness of all this, I'm going to have a lot of memories from just being a little bit more present.
I think one good thing, probably, not be on the road, is you can be at home with your kids more and your wife more. When you actually go home from the office, then I go see a game, and you can go home and be with the family. So that's probably one of the good things of COVID, has been being able to go home after work, not go to watch a game like you usually would.
Yeah, we're spoiled as a society, and we have it a lot better in a lot of ways than we think we do. And my prediction in all this is, in a year, because of how much we complain as a country, we're all going to be sitting around and saying, hey, can we go back to quarantine? And I got to be home a little bit more. I got to see my family a little bit more, and I didn't get caught the hamster wheel of life of just getting going here and there and being at this and just over busy. And but I think there's also some introspection in that where you can look at things and say, okay, what do I want to take away from this that I want to create a little bit more balance or a little bit more boundary in my life once things do get back to normal. And that's what I'm trying to do personally is this is important. This is my job. I don't necessarily want it to be who I am. I want it to be what I do. And we're going to try to win as many games as anybody. I'm as competitive as they come. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I have proper balance. And I think some of this time, some of this adversity has created, a window to really be able to evaluate that and, try to be our best as we start to get hopefully closer to some type of normal.
No doubt. Well, Coach Richey, thank you for your time every year. It's always good to talk to you this time of year, man. Best luck to you and Furman as always. I always be cheering for you guys. I love the Paladins, man. Great job you do that, man. I'll always thank you for your time, my brother.
Absolutely, man. Come up and see us in Greenville sometime.
I need to, man. I got to come up to I-85 to see you guys. Are you right, Coach? I got to do that real soon, man. As soon as lightens up, man, I got to come up there and see you guys for sure. It's on my list for sure, buddy.
Absolutely. All right, man. Good talking with you. Talk to you soon.
Be safe, Coach. See you soon, buddy.
All right, you too.
All
Bye.
right.